So yes, to discuss this topic, I have here many investors, but the trick is that a lot of them were also entrepreneurs before. So I have Miguel Arias from K-Fund, but who also founded Carto. I have José del Barrio from Samaripata, but who also founded La Nevera Roja. We have Christophe Primo from Elaya, but also from GetUp. And then on the entrepreneur side, we have Pablo Darguia, who's the entrepreneur that Daniel was referring to, who raised funding from 5 unicorn founders. Mm-hmm. And just to go straight into our topic, I would like to ask each of them their perception on whether it's a good thing for founders to invest while they are running a startup. So Miguel, I think you spelled it with a tweet because you said, I think TLDR, yes.
Yeah. I mean, the key thing that we have as VCs is the challenge of access to the best entrepreneurs, right? And actually, founders are the ones who have the network, who understand other founders, who can help them to cry on their shoulders if needed. So for us, as a VC, it's great to have our network of founders being able to do relations, invest. I'm calling this a very expensive hobby they have, right? I don't think should not be a lifestyle for them. It should be something that they like to do because they have the passion to help. It should not take a lot of their time. And it wouldn't actually. But I think that for VCs, it's a very relevant source of deal flow, so we are totally in favor of that, yeah.
Uh-huh. So to spice things up, so I'm going to go straight to Christophe because I think you disagree.
Yes and no. So I think it's a question of timing. So okay. If I look at myself, when I was a founder, I had no money first, so I couldn't invest, and no bandwidth. And I was extremely focused on my business, and frankly, I was not even thinking about investing at that time. Then, as your company is growing and you set up an operating team, that can do stuff for you, you probably, want to look around and get inspired by other entrepreneurs, inspire other entrepreneurs. Probably you've done a little bit of secondary, so you've got a bit of money to invest, and then it's probably a good time. Yeah. Once you've exited your company, then it's definitely a yes. I mean, I think the value you can bring to other entrepreneurs is huge. You will always take a slightly different point of view than financial investors. So combining your force with the one of a financial investor is of a lot of help, to founders. So no at the very beginning, and yes moving forward.
We agree.
Jose, who do you agree with? You need to choose.
Yeah. I would say I'm more aligned with Christophe on this one. I think there's a lot has a lot to do with timing of even on the lifetime of the founder. So is a successful founder already, has sold the company, etc. And also the stage of the company, that is very different. So in my experience, when I was a founder, at the very beginning, early stage, pre-Series A, you don't have management, you don't have leadership, you need to be on top of everything, and that's a very tough moment. Apart from that, you don't have money to invest, by the way. But then once you have a leadership team, once you have some strong product market fit, etc., and you maybe have done some secondary, as Christophe said, then it's it's great, actually, as a source of inspiration, and so on. From a VC perspective, it's awesome. So I would say all founders to invest because it's an amazing source of deal flow, and we usually invite founders to our rounds because we acknowledge the value they can bring in terms of network, experience, and everything. But I'm answering maybe the question more as an advice to founders, or as a first-time founder, pre-Series A, should they get distracted by investing? From my experience, my perspective, I think it's not a good idea for them. For us as a source of deal flow, is amazing. So it depends very much on where are you in your professional or entrepreneurial career, and where the company, in what stage the company is at. I would say that those are the main two drivers, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And just following on the value that they can add, Pablo, I think you know this firsthand, so why is it not a good idea to have fellow entrepreneurs as investors?
Yeah, hi everyone. In our case, the company I'm building is called Sensei Node. which is blockchain infrastructure in Latin America. So we deploy the nodes of the main protocols like Ethereum, Avalanche, Polkadot. So our only hypothesis is if we believe that blockchain and Web3 is going to growth, they definitely will need nodes. So we are like the fiber optic of the blockchain. Who here thinks that blockchain is going to growth? Okay, most of them, great. So when we structured the round, as this company is, we are focused in Latin America, so we decided that it would be super important to have entrepreneurs that already built amazing companies from the region to the world or in the region. So we decide, so for entrepreneurs that are here, like you have to decide or how to structure your round, your financial round, because they're going to go with you in all the journey together. So in our case, we decided, or our dream investors would be, in this case, we invite to participate in this company to Marcos Galperin, the founder of Mercado Libre, Martin Migoya, the founder of Globant, both listed, one in NASDAQ and the other in New York Stock Exchange. And then we also invited Mike Santos, founder of Technisys, which is a financial software for banking software. And again, at the end of the day, crypto has a lot to do with money or the Internet of Value or transfer value. So from a financial standpoint, he knows the technology around finance. Then we invite Matthias Wolowski, who is the founder of OutZero, acquired last year at 6.5 billion. And Pato Yutar from Mural, also a $2 billion company. So surprisingly, they all say yes, and it was really such an honor. And what is great for having this kind of investors is that they are constantly helping and showing us the path, the roadmap. They are super committed because they already have been through all this journey. So they share a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge. Also, we have another investor that probably is also a unicorn, but as it's a crypto company, the price of their tokens is more, the market cap is more than 1 billion, which is the founder of Decentraland, which is a metaverse in the blockchain ecosystem on Ethereum. So yes, the thing is have people in crypto, have people who know of finance, have people who know of deep software. So that combination helped us a lot to keep on growing the company.
May I add
Yeah, go ahead.
2 comments? One, we can all see who is entrepreneur, right? He pitched the company, name dropping everything in the answer. That's amazing, Pablo. I want to invest in your company after this. Really good.
Thank you, Miguel.
The second thing I mean, of course, it's great to have amazing names like Pablo was mentioning. It's an interesting effect that is happening now with these unicorn founders. They have enough money to almost cover the seed or pre-seed rounds themselves, right? In the past, the founders would just put, I don't know, 50K, 100K. They would just an addition to the round. Nice, not taking a stake from the VCs. Now, in early stages, we have an effect where all these great names are pushing out the pre-seed and seed funds because they could cover the whole round, right? So I mean, I think that's an interesting second effect on that, which is not so good for the early stage funds, but good for well, I don't know how good it is for the founders, but it's happening a lot, I would say. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, going back to Jose's comment on deal flow, does it help then if those founders are from your fund? Do they say, okay, I want to co-invest with such and such fund? Is it what you see happening?
Yeah, I think that's very frequently, and it's becoming more and more frequent, especially in developed ecosystems. The more developed the ecosystem, the more you see founders, successful founders, reinvesting in the ecosystem, not just money, but also knowledge and network. It's important. So the 3 things, I would say even for these people, money is even the least important thing. It's more about the network they can open up to entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Maybe that's I would say the second list, and the number 1 is probably the knowledge they bring and the validation, the social proof, let's say. So and that is really important, and that's one of the reasons why we are trying to develop this network of like super successful, highly qualified group of entrepreneurs that help us not just sourcing the deals, but also discussing the deals with them. Because we cannot be experts in every single field we analyze, so we leverage on these, we call them operating partners, to analyze, and typically are founders, and the best are successful founders. So I think it's a critical piece of the ecosystem. When I started La Nevera Roja 10 years ago, I think that was like, well, Miguel was already around for a few years back then, but there was scarcity, let's say, or more scarcity, and now we see that becoming more frequent, not only in Spain, but in the rest of the markets. And also, another interesting trend probably is like crossover type of trend, like people from other countries, like as well with the rise of remote, etc. So you don't necessarily need to leverage on local founders. You can also leverage on founders from France, Germany, UK, and that's also a very powerful trend, I think. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And just going back to the value add of fellow founders, Christophe, when we were talking before this panel, I think you mentioned empathy as a.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have a story to tell on that, or?
So I think the value, and now I'm positioning myself as an ex-entrepreneur moving to investing. I think the value for the fund is when you're really going after a competitive deal, showing up, with at least one of the investors being an ex-founder. It gives a lot of reinsurance, for the founder, and say, okay, at least these guys maybe will not try, to screw me or something like that. But at least he knows that if the deal is done, he will get, the level of support and empathy that he can expect, from another founder. And I think it's very interesting, from the VC fund, to go to all deals, but specifically the competitive deal, with an entrepreneur, because it can basically help you win. And we've had some experiences of that, where entrepreneur really liked Elia. By the way, Elia is a B2B tech fund doing seed to Series B, in case someone in the room is interested.
You're pitching now to everybody's pitching.
Yeah, but Pablo has been very good at pitching, so I had to do it.
Very good.
And we're a pretty good fund. So we got into these situations where clearly the guy said, well, but I've got choice between different term sheets. The terms are exactly the same, but this guy is an entrepreneur and I want to work with him. Okay, alongside the other partners, the financial partners of the fund. So that's the first thing. And then when you're supporting the company, during the investment period. Sometimes you've got some scenes where you see the founders, looking at you with these eyes saying, say something, you understand me, help me. And it creates really a connection that is pretty unique and that can help, especially, in difficult moments. When the situation is difficult and we don't agree on things, I think it will naturally come more to the one, with the entrepreneur hat, because he believes, rightly, that, he will have more understanding. Mm-hmm. So empathy is important.
So about empathy, that you're the only one who hasn't pitched yet. You're allowed a 15-second pitch. And after that, please tell me about founders transitioning into becoming investors. Do you think doing it early, in late stages of the company, is the way to prepare for your second act as an entrepreneur, for instance?
Yeah, I will do. I have to pitch. I pitch very quickly. Yeah.
Just stage.
So fun. He did so good. I cannot do the same as thing. If you're looking for money, talk to all the three of us, and that's good, right? We can talk later on.
Yeah, we can even invest together.
We can invest together. Yeah, we are very friendly. Exactly. No, to what you said. I think investing as an angel gives you an inning in what it means to invest, But when you're an angel and you're an ex-founder, you invest a lot about learning things you don't know about. It's expensive MBAs you're doing outside, or you invest because there's some personal connections, an emotional connection. So, and as a VC, it's a bit different, right? So I'm not sure it's exactly the path because I've just been VC for 9 months, and I'm suffering badly because it's not exactly the same thing, right? So I'm not sure. What I do see more and more now is some entrepreneurs becoming also LPs in funds, right? Because they can add a ticket into the fund, they learn how the funds work, the structure, the dynamics, and that prepares you much more for becoming a VC than anything else, right? Because you see how these things work from inside. And we are racing, and that is my pitch.
Well, I just was at an LP event, and it's true. It's a big learning experience.
It
for
is.
sure.
It is indeed. It is indeed. Yeah.
So, Jose, I wanted to ask you about sector expertise. Do you think founders should invest in things they know about, or not necessarily?
Well, my view is that they're going to be better at what they know, generally speaking. But I think it's access is a very important thing. So it's not only about picking. So in our business is you have access and picking, more or less. Like you can, like summarize everything into those two things. So access into opportunities and then picking the right ones, right? And most times the first one is even more important than the second one. So even if they don't know about something, if they are successful entrepreneurs and they have something to add to the community, or they are well connected, they are going to have privileged access to these opportunities, even if they are beyond their field of expertise. And that has a lot of value for them to capture part of their value, and for us VCs as a source also of opportunities and partner with them, co-investing, etc. So I think in both cases, obviously, their opinion on certain topics are going to be much more valid than others. That's something that is also important to have in mind as an entrepreneur, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If I may add just something very briefly on...
I'm not pitching. Eh?
No, you did very well not pitching. No, I was thinking about this great face that you put at this entrepreneur looking at the former founder, like, oh, give me the truth. I need the truth, right? It's a dangerous situation because you see everything as an ex-founder from the lenses of your former failures and successes, and you are then almost patronizing, telling them what they should be doing because you know for sure what's happening. And every situation is different. So my advice to founders is don't take everything an ex-founder tells you for granted because they might be wrong. So take your own decisions. It's good that you hear things, but they are so biased by their own story, and they will always tell you, 10 years ago we did this thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. Right?
No, it's true, and the same goes as an investor. I mean, you need to refrain yourself from patronizing entrepreneurs because obviously you got only one single point of view, and you may be wrong, and you're probably wrong actually. So
So, Pablo, how do you do that? I mean, because when there are huge success stories, it must be intimidating to tell them, okay, you don't know what you're talking about.
A little bit, but no. What is great is to have also a very. We have our own WhatsApp group with all the investors. Like we are constantly every day or every week talking to each other. Some investors live in Silicon Valley, some in Miami, some in Europe, some in Latin America. So we can have a broad perspective of the market, of the challenges we're facing. So yeah, but it's a very informal way of communication, and some add more value in from different perspectives. One in the fundraising, the other one in product, the other one in growth. But also, I would like to say that for entrepreneurs becoming investors, it depends if you join as an investor for a good reason or the good reasons. Because I have also seen some successful entrepreneurs that once they do their exit, they invest like 50% of their money in 15 startups, and they lose it all. You know, it's like with no thesis, or if it's just because of friendship, or how you if you don't have the skills to analyze, or maybe you invest for FOMO. So it's super dangerous to be an investor if you are only an entrepreneur, if you don't have experience. So it's a good idea what Miguel said. So I will help Miguel to sell his fund, to invest through a fund already created and join as LPs.
Thank you, mate.
You're welcome.
Maybe following up on also Miguel's comment, I think actually that's one of the biggest risks. So a successful entrepreneur can bring a lot of value, and most of the time will bring a lot of value. But if I had to say one risk, and it's a very relevant risk, is as an early stage founder, you look at a founder of a unicorn, multi-billion-dollar company, and you will tend to think that he has the answers for, or she has the answer for every question. And especially if that person thinks that there is only one way to do things, that can create a very difficult or dangerous situation. I think it is really, really key to really build your own opinions based on different inputs, different feedback, and don't get it for granted, because as we said before, every situation is different, regardless of how successful that person is. And especially when, in the case of successful people that are not founders, that's even more risky, let's say. And I think that's also, I found recently that that's a really important topic to be aware of.
Pablo, you mentioned friendship, but Christophe, do you think that entrepreneurs who are late stage, the one you're okay with seeing invest, do you think they should look at deal flow like a VC does, or just do inbound? Do they need to look at cold pitches?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it depends, like case by case a lot. But most of them are inbound, as you mentioned. They just invest in the companies that reach them, and they think it's a good opportunity. Friendship is also important for them. But yes, I think probably some of them also invest in different funds as LP too. So I think it's a mix, different ways and different reasons why they invest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the entrepreneurs get naturally network of trusted peers, right? Or in an ecosystem, these kind of things happened at the time where there was nobody doing these kind of things, right? I mean, and we are both members of that. We launched Chambery Valley to get the people in Madrid together who didn't know what to do, and they were the consolidated tech entrepreneurs, right? So we did the calculation. If we would have invested 100K at every entrepreneur of the Chambery Valley group, the day they joined, not the day the day they joined the group, that would be a 5x fund return, right? So network of trusted peers generate a self-fulfilling prophecy, which is more likely to be successful. So I think as a founder, the people you know and that are growing with you are the ones you should invest in.
Yeah, I think I agree with both of you. And if you're part of an ecosystem that is kind of organized. So I live in Barcelona, and in Barcelona I'm part of an ecosystem called Seed Rocket, one of the old, incubator kind of ecosystem. But what they do is that they bring together ex-entrepreneurs, existing entrepreneurs and investors, and it's very informal. And these guys get together and give an opinion, talk about new investment opportunities, and it's extremely rich, for the entrepreneur, especially the young entrepreneur, because they get different point of views, and from people with very different experiences. So when it's structured, first you've got less risk to lose everything, as you said, and then I think you also add more value to the entrepreneur. So I will encourage ex-entrepreneurs that are willing to invest first, to be part, of such organized ecosystem, because it's a good learning curve, and you add value.
And Jose has the final word. Any advice for founders who want to invest, where they should start?
How to get started? I think, I would co-invest, maybe, with other experience in business angels.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you.